In the grand halls of the Elorian High Command, enormous crystal panels glowed with the movements of countless starships. The room hummed with energy, a sound like a heartbeat multiplied 1,000 times. High Commander Xyler stood at the center, his tall, armored figure casting a long shadow across the room. His eyes, pale and calculating, scanned the reports from the outer sectors. "Another planet," a lieutenant said, bowing slightly. "Rich in resources. No defense. We can take it with a single fleet." Xyler nodded slowly. "Send the scouts. Prepare the armada. Let us see what lies beyond our maps." The Elorians had long grown bored with the familiar worlds under their control. Their fleets had conquered nearly every known star system, but the thrill of exploration still called to them. Xyler's mind was never content with just ruling. He wanted total domination, the kind that would leave his name in the history of the universe forever. Meanwhile, far below, the fleets were already moving. Millions of Elorian ships, each one bristling with weapons that could reduce entire planets to ash, formed lines that stretched like rivers of fire through the darkness of space. Soldiers, trained from birth in combat and obedience, moved with mechanical precision. To them, the galaxy was a map to be conquered and life itself was a tool to wield. But there was one star system that had escaped their notice for eons. One small, blue planet, rich in water and life, orbited a modest yellow sun. Its people were primitive by Elorian standards, fragile and unaware of the universe's dangers. This was Earth, a world the Elorians had ignored because it seemed insignificant, a tiny speck in the grand cosmic web. On Earth, life continued in blissful ignorance. Oceans teemed with creatures unknown to humankind, forests stretched endlessly, and skies were home to birds that glided without fear. Humans lived in cities that sparkled with lights, completely unaware of the storms brewing in the dark reaches of space. And yet, beneath the oceans, something stirred. Something enormous. Something that had waited for centuries in silence. Back aboard the flagship Eclipse of Stars, Xyler's fleet advanced closer to the unexplored system. His voice echoed through the command hall, calm yet filled with authority. "Prepare for survey. Send probes to the largest continents. I want all information, every detail of this world." Lieutenants bowed and nodded, their minds already calculating strategies and attack plans. The Elorians never underestimated a planet, no matter how small. They believed in total control. Planets were conquered, resources harvested, civilizations broken. This was the way of the galaxy, and they were masters of it. As the scouts left the fleet and sped toward Earth, Xyler's mind wandered to the legends of creatures that might exist on distant worlds. Many were myths, exaggerated stories told to frighten young officers. But Xyler had learned long ago not to dismiss any possibility. The universe was vast, and it held secrets even the Elorians could not predict. The scouts reached Earth's orbit and began transmitting images back to the flagship. Blue oceans stretched across continents, white clouds moved like smoke, and green forests covered large areas of the land. Xyler studied the data carefully. "Primitive life forms," he said aloud. "No defense technology. No signs of organized fleets. A simple world. Easy prey." Yet even as he spoke, a strange reading caught his attention. A massive object moving deep beneath the planet's largest ocean. The scouts' instruments could not identify it clearly. Xyler frowned. "Magnify the signal. Track it. I want to know everything about this creature." The Elorians prided themselves on understanding all threats. No army in the galaxy could survive if its commander underestimated even a single factor. Xyler's curiosity turned into a thrill he had not felt in years. A world untested, a creature unknown. It promised a challenge, one he intended to conquer. Back on Earth, humans went about their daily lives, unaware of the approaching armada. Children played near the seas, sailors navigated the oceans, and scientists gazed at the stars, dreaming of worlds they had yet to reach. Among them, a few noticed strange readings in the deep oceans, unusual patterns in the water currents and disruptions in the magnetic fields. But no one could have guessed the truth. A force from beyond the stars was already observing them. The Leviathan, the ancient guardian of the oceans, stirred as if sensing the threat. Massive eyes opened beneath the waves, glowing faintly in the darkness. Tentacles, long and powerful, shifted with an almost intelligent awareness. The creature had existed long before humans walked the land. It had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. And now, it felt the presence of the invaders, creatures unlike any it had ever encountered. Xyler, aboard the Eclipse of Stars, studied the reports. He smiled faintly, confident in his superiority. "Prepare the armada for arrival. We take this planet and all that lies beneath it. Nothing can stand against the Elorians. But unknown to him, the Leviathan was more than a creature. It was a force of nature, patient, ancient, and powerful beyond imagination. And Earth, fragile as it seemed, had allies stronger than Xyler could comprehend. The first chapter of this battle was about to begin. Stars would shine with fire, oceans would tremble, and the galaxy would soon witness that even the mightiest could be challenged. And so, the Elorian fleets, masters of the galaxy, advanced toward Earth with arrogance and certainty, unaware that the true power of the planet was about to awaken. The first sign came as a strange pulse in the night sky. Astronomers around the world noticed anomalies, signals that did not belong to any natural source. Satellites recorded bursts of energy, fast-moving objects in orbit, and distortions in the electromagnetic field. For a moment, it seemed like a glitch in the instruments. Then the anomalies grew stronger, more frequent, impossible to ignore. In Washington, D.C., Dr. Elena Carter, a leading astrophysicist, stared at her monitor in disbelief. "These readings, they're not from our technology," she muttered. "Something is out there, something big." Her assistant, Mark, leaned over her shoulder. "Are you saying it's aliens?" Elena shook her head. "I don't know. But whatever it is, it's not friendly. And it's approaching fast." Meanwhile, in the Pacific Ocean, the Leviathan, the ancient guardian of Earth, sensed the disturbance. Deep below the surface, in a trench darker than any night on land, it stirred. Its massive body moved with a grace that belied its size, tentacles coiling like living armor, eyes glowing faintly as it followed the approaching threat. For centuries, it had remained hidden, watching the rise and fall of humans, waiting for a time when its power would be needed. Humans had always feared the unknown depths of their own oceans, but now the unknown was coming to them from the stars. The first alien scout ships entered Earth's orbit quietly at first, like shadows slipping across the moon. They were sleek, black, and unlike anything humans had ever seen. The ships scanned the planet, sending data back to the approaching armada. To the Elorians, Earth was just another resource-rich world, primitive and weak, ready to be claimed without resistance. But Earth had a secret. Its oceans hid a force that the Elorians could never have anticipated. The Leviathan, sensing the intrusion, began moving toward the coastlines. Ships near the deep trenches reported unusual waves, equipment failures, and strange sonar readings. Sailors whispered about monsters, legends of old, but no one truly understood what was coming. In the cities, people began noticing subtle changes. Electronics glitched, compasses spun wildly, and tides rose unexpectedly. Panic was avoided for now, as the disturbances were small and scattered, but the signs were undeniable. Something extraordinary was awakening. High above, the Elorian fleet advanced in perfect formation. Commander Xyler watched from the bridge of the eclipse of stars, eyes fixed on Earth's blue surface. "Prepare for the next phase," he commanded. "Deploy the orbital scanners. I want every detail of this planet. No surprises." Back on Earth, military organizations scrambled to understand the signals. Fighter jets were deployed, satellites were adjusted, and early warning systems hummed with tension. Humanity had never faced an enemy like this. The reports seemed impossible: fast-moving objects, incomprehensible energy readings, and strange disturbances in the deep ocean. And then, without warning, the Leviathan appeared. It rose from the depths in a swirl of water and foam, massive eyes piercing the horizon. Its tentacles, long and powerful, lashed out at the first alien scout ship that had hovered too close. The vessel exploded in a blinding flash, debris scattering across the ocean surface. Humans watched in awe and terror, unable to comprehend the scale of what they were witnessing. News helicopters circled overhead, capturing the creature on camera. "What is that thing?" one reporter shouted, her voice shaking. "Is this a monster?" Dr. Elena Carter stared at the live feed from her lab. "It's not just a monster," she said. "It's something ancient, something alive for millions of years. And it's defending the planet." Commander Xyler, however, was unfazed. He had seen countless worlds and countless creatures, and none had stopped him yet. "Strength is measured, not feared," he said calmly. "Prepare the fleet. This world will fall." But the Leviathan was not acting blindly. It moved with intelligence, blocking ships, creating massive waves to destabilize smaller vessels, and coordinating its attacks with an almost strategic precision. It was as if the creature had been waiting for this moment, biding its time, testing the waters of the galaxy. Humans began to understand the creature's power, but fear still gripped them. Their weapons were primitive compared to the alien technology. Missiles exploded harmlessly against the shields of the scout ships, and fighter jets were no match for the alien fleet's speed and firepower. Yet, the Leviathan held the line, protecting humanity in ways that were both terrifying and magnificent. Dr. Carter, working with military scientists, realized that they could influence the Leviathan's movements with sonar signals. Small, experimental devices sent pulses into the deep, and the Leviathan responded, moving toward specific threats. Humanity had found a fragile, tentative partnership with the creature. As night fell over Earth, the battle lines became clearer. The Elorians, confident in their superiority, prepared for conquest. The Leviathan, ancient and immense, defended silently, a force of nature that even the most advanced weapons could not break. And humanity, fragile and small, watched from below, beginning to understand that they were not helpless. The first true clash was coming. Stars would burn, oceans would rise, and the quiet world of Earth would awaken to the war of the galaxy. Humans had been underestimated, the Leviathan had been awakened, and the Elorians were about to learn that some victories are not won by power alone. In the deep ocean, the Leviathan's eyes glowed brighter, its tentacles stretching like the arms of a guardian preparing for battle. It had waited for centuries for this moment, and now it was ready. The galaxy would soon see that Earth, though seemingly weak, had hidden strength. And the Elorians, masters of the stars, were about to face a force they could neither predict nor control. Commander Xyler, aboard the flagship Eclipse of Stars, leaned over the console, studying the live images from the scouts. So small. So primitive, he said, his voice cold. Yet, the planet hides something. Xyler's words were not idle speculation. Deep beneath the ocean, the Leviathan stirred once more. Its immense body moved gracefully through the water, sensing the movements of the alien ships. Its glowing eyes followed them like a predator studying prey. The creature had waited for centuries for a threat like this, and now it had arrived. On the surface, humanity held its breath. Dr. Elena Carter and her team monitored the scouts' movements, trying to understand what they were and how to respond. Fighter jets were scrambled, but they were hopelessly outmatched. Missiles fired at the approaching scouts fizzled against their shields. The humans realized they were powerless, except for the Leviathan. The first scout ship descended toward the Pacific Ocean, its sensors scanning the water. It did not notice the Leviathan at first, confident in its superiority. But the moment it hovered over the waves, the ocean erupted. A massive tentacle shot out, smashing the alien ship with a force that shook the water for miles. The ship exploded in a blinding flash, pieces of metal and energy scattering across the ocean surface. Humans on nearby ships and coastlines screamed, pointing at the monster. "It's attacking them," a sailor shouted. "It's defending us." Dr. Carter's eyes widened as she realized the truth. "It's not just a creature," she said. "It's intelligent. It knows what's happening and it's choosing to protect us." Xyler, however, was unshaken. He had faced countless threats before, and this was simply another obstacle. "Analyze the creature," he commanded. "I want every detail. Target it but proceed carefully. It will fall. Everything falls eventually." But the Leviathan was not ordinary. Its movements were precise, calculated, and terrifying. It smashed through ships, created massive waves to destabilize others, and disappeared into the deep before the Elorians could strike again. The humans, terrified and amazed, watched in awe as the oceans themselves seemed alive with power. Fighter jets attempted to engage, firing missiles and energy beams, but the Leviathan was always one step ahead. Tentacles rose, shields formed in the water, and the creature's roar echoed across the waves, a sound that shook even the Elorian sensors. For the first time, the aliens realized that Earth was not a simple, defenseless world. Xyler frowned, studying the damage reports. "It is stronger than expected. Adapt tactics. Deploy more drones. Surround it. The planet is still weak. Its inhabitants cannot stop us." On land, humans were scrambling. Naval fleets were ordered to assist the scientists, and emergency broadcasts warned civilians to stay away from the coasts. Yet, in the midst of fear, hope began to grow. The Leviathan's actions showed them that their planet was not powerless. Something ancient, massive, and intelligent was defending them. Deep beneath the waves, the Leviathan sensed the humans' fear and courage. It did not understand them fully, but it recognized the planet's defenders. It rose higher, tentacles whipping the water, creating massive whirlpools to trap the alien scouts. It moved with strategy, forcing the invaders into positions where their own weapons would harm them if they miscalculated. Xyler's frustration grew. "This is unexpected," he admitted quietly. A single creature cannot be this effective. Prepare for full deployment of the armada. We will overwhelm it. As the main Elorian ships descended toward Earth, the Leviathan retreated slightly into the depths, luring them closer. It knew the planet's topography, the hidden trenches, the currents, and the massive underwater caverns. Every movement was calculated. The Elorians, with all their technology, were being led into a trap. Humans, from the control rooms and observation posts, watched in tense silence. Dr. Carter's team had begun sending pulses through underwater devices, guiding the Leviathan toward alien ships. "We can't fight them directly," she said. "But we can help it. We can guide it to strike where it will be most effective." And so the battle of strategy began. Tentacles smashed through hulls, sonar pulses disrupted alien shields, and energy beams collided with water, creating explosions that lit up the night sky. The Elorian scouts, confident at first, were now cautious, realizing that they had underestimated both the planet and its guardian. Xyler clenched his fists. "They may be primitive," he muttered, "but they are clever. Not clever enough to save themselves, however. We will crush them." But the Leviathan's strength was more than brute force. Its intelligence, its patience, and its connection to Earth made it a weapon unlike any the Elorians had faced. As more ships arrived, the oceans churned violently. The first true battle between alien invaders and Earth's ancient guardian was underway. On the surface, humans began to understand the scale of the conflict. Their planet was alive, defending itself, and they were part of it. News broadcasts showed waves crashing higher than ever, debris from destroyed alien ships raining down, and the massive shadow of the Leviathan moving under the water. Humanity's fear was mixed with awe. The first contact had been made. Not through diplomacy, not through words, but through fire, water, and raw power. The Elorians had arrived expecting an easy conquest. Instead they found resistance, intelligent, ancient, and unstoppable. Xyler stared at the live feeds, fury and intrigue in his eyes. "Interesting," he said. "I did not expect this. Very well. Earth, prepare for the armada. We will take you even if it destroys every scout in the ocean." The Leviathan, unafraid and immense, rose higher, ready for the challenge. The stage was set for a war that would decide the fate of Earth, the galaxy, and the true meaning of power. The first contact had ended in destruction, but it was only the beginning. Commander Xyler, calm yet calculating, surveyed the chaos from the eclipse of stars. "They are clever," he muttered, eyes scanning for weaknesses. "But they will not survive the full might of the Elorian armada." In the human command centers, Dr. Elena Carter and her team were in constant communication with naval units. "The Leviathan is responding to our signals," she said, her voice tense but filled with hope. "We can guide it. Focus on the larger ships, they're the ones controlling the rest." Humans watched in awe and terror as the Leviathan smashed through the first wave of scout ships. Tentacles coiled around vessels, crushing them like toys, while jets and missiles barely scratched its armored hide. Yet the Elorians were relentless. More ships descended, firing energy beams and missiles in waves, attempting to encircle the monster. The oceans erupted in fire and water, a chaotic symphony of destruction. The Leviathan moved with intelligence that surprised both humans and aliens. It forced smaller ships into collisions, lured larger vessels into underwater trenches, and created massive whirlpools that pulled enemies toward destruction. Each strike was precise, almost strategic, as though the oceans themselves were fighting back. Xyler's frustration grew. "It is not merely a creature," he said through clenched teeth. "It is a weapon. But it is still limited. Prepare the primary armada. We will crush it together." As the main armada descended, humans realized the scale of the threat. Fighter jets attempted to attack the alien ships, but energy shields deflected their weapons. Missiles exploded harmlessly in the sky. Humanity's technology was weak, but the Leviathan compensated, moving with speed and intelligence that no human or machine could match. The first real casualty among humans came when a naval vessel was caught in a wave created by the Leviathan. Yet it was not entirely destruction. The crew survived, inspired by the monster's protection. Civilians on the coast watched from afar, witnessing what felt like the impossible, a creature of legend defending their world. Deep in the ocean, the Leviathan's movements were both graceful and terrifying. Tentacles lashed with precision, crushing alien scouts and creating barriers of water that diverted energy beams. Its roar echoed above the waves, a sound that resonated with humans in a strange, almost primal way. Some sailors felt hope stir in their hearts, believing that Earth itself had chosen a champion. The Elorians, confident in their superior technology, began deploying heavier weapons. Energy cannons fired from orbit, missiles streaked through the atmosphere, and enormous ships attempted to trap the Leviathan in a perimeter. Yet the creature adapted instantly. Tentacles wrapped around ships, spinning them into the ocean, while energy blasts dissipated harmlessly across its massive body. Xyler realized that brute force alone would not win this battle. Adapt tactics, he commanded. Combine energy and physical strikes. Focus on controlling the oceans. It cannot escape once we trap it. Meanwhile, humans coordinated with the Leviathan, sending sonar signals that guided its attacks. Naval vessels fired in sync with the creature, creating a dance of destruction against the alien fleet. Despite their primitive weapons, humans became a part of the fight, not as masters but as partners with the Leviathan. The sky above the Pacific burned with explosions. Alien ships collided with each other in confusion, some caught in whirlpools, others crushed by the Leviathan's powerful tentacles. The oceans roared in response, waves smashing against coastlines, shaking the ground beneath human cities. Yet amid the chaos, humanity saw strength and resilience that inspired hope. Xyler's eyes narrowed. They are clever, but cleverness will not save them. He activated a massive beam cannon on the eclipse of stars, firing toward the ocean. The water exploded into steam and fire, but the Leviathan reacted instantly, twisting and diving into the depths, avoiding the worst of the attack. The humans watched the battle unfold, hearts pounding. "It's incredible," Dr. Carter whispered. "We are watching history, Earth defending itself against the masters of the galaxy." For hours the battle raged. The Leviathan struck again and again, using its immense size and intelligence to counter the alien fleet's superior technology. Yet the Elorians were not giving up. Xyler called in reinforcements, massive warships that dwarfed the original scouts. Energy beams from orbit cut through clouds, while missiles streaked across the horizon. But the Leviathan was unyielding. It moved with purpose, striking with precision, luring the armada into traps it created in the depths of the ocean. The humans' coordination, guided by Dr. Carter's team, amplified the Leviathan's effectiveness. Together, they turned a legendary creature into a strategic weapon, a guardian of Earth unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Finally, after hours of battle, the first Elorian cruiser was destroyed. It exploded in a massive fireball, debris raining down into the ocean. Xyler's face remained calm, but his officers were shaken. "Interesting," he said softly. "This planet is not as weak as I thought." "Very well, escalate." The Leviathan, though battered and exhausted, continued its assault. Tentacles lashed, energy shields shimmered, and the oceans themselves seemed alive with defiance. The humans, inspired by what they witnessed, began to realize that they were not powerless after all. Earth had allies they could never have imagined. The clash of titans, the Elorian armada and Earth's ancient guardian, was only beginning. Waves roared, skies burned, and the galaxy watched silently as a small blue planet proved that might alone did not decide the fate of worlds. Humanity had awakened to the fact that they were not helpless. And the Leviathan, patient, ancient, and immense, would ensure that any who dared threaten Earth would pay a price. The battle for survival had begun, and the first victory for Earth was still uncertain. Dr. Elena Carter and her team worked tirelessly in command centers across the planet. "We can't match their technology," she said, eyes glued to the holographic screens. "But we can use our brains. The Leviathan is powerful and it can respond to signals. If we guide it, we can make it strike where it will hurt them most." Her plan was simple but daring. Using sonar and electromagnetic pulses, humans began to communicate with the Leviathan. The creature, ancient and intelligent, responded to the signals, moving with purpose to strike alien ships at key moments. Every action was coordinated, every strike amplified by human strategy. Across the Pacific, the Leviathan lunged toward a cluster of alien cruisers. Tentacles smashed through hulls, while energy pulses from humans disrupted the shields of surrounding ships. Explosions lit the ocean like fireworks. The Elorians had expected simple resistance, but now they were facing a planet united in ways they could not anticipate. Commander Xyler watched the battle unfold from the eclipse of stars, frustration growing. "Humans, clever but insignificant," he muttered. "Adapt tactics. Target the Leviathan directly. Cut it off from the humans. Destroy it." But humans were cleverer than the Elorians realized. Naval fleets created decoy signals to confuse the aliens, guiding the Leviathan into ambushes where alien ships collided with each other. Missiles were rerouted, traps were set in the deep trenches, and even small submarines played a crucial role in supporting the giant guardian of Earth. On land, civilians watched in awe as news helicopters captured the battle. "It's incredible," a reporter exclaimed. "This creature, it's saving us. And humans are helping it." Dr. Carter smiled despite the chaos. "They underestimated us. They never expected us to be smart, to use our brains and adapt. But this is human ingenuity. This is what they didn't count on." The Leviathan strikes became sharper and more precise. Alien cruisers that had once dominated the battlefield were now vulnerable. The ocean seemed alive, a living weapon controlled by humans in tandem with the Guardian. Ships were destroyed, formations shattered, and the once mighty armada began to hesitate. Zyler's officers were nervous. "Commander, they are adapting faster than anticipated. The Leviathan is exploiting every weakness in our formation." Zyler clenched his fists, his face pale. "Then we escalate. Bring in the Warbringers. Fire the orbital cannons. We must overwhelm them before this primitive planet teaches us further surprises." But even the orbital cannons, massive beams of energy capable of leveling continents, failed to hit the Leviathan directly. It dove and twisted with incredible speed, creating whirlpools that disrupted the shots. Humanity's devices, sending pulses through the water, guided it expertly. Every strike from the humans amplified the Leviathan's immense power. In the sky, alien drones attempted to flank human fleets. Fighter jets dodged and weaved, attempting to disrupt them. Missiles were fired at both drones and larger ships, coordinated to maximize damage. The humans had become part of the battle, a mind working in tandem with the Leviathan. The tide began to turn. One by one, the smaller alien ships were destroyed or driven off. The humans' ingenuity had made them unpredictable, difficult to counter, and now they were forcing the Elorians into mistakes. The Leviathan, with its ancient strength, exploited every opening. Commander Zyler's face was grim. "Impossible. They should have fallen. No planet has ever resisted the Elorians like this." His mind raced. "It is not just the creature, it is the humans. They think, they adapt, they are dangerous." On Earth, Dr. Carter's team worked tirelessly to maintain the connection. "We're coordinating the strikes," she said. "We have to make every hit count. We can't let them recover." The Leviathan struck a critical blow, crushing an alien warship that had tried to trap it. The explosion shook the ocean for miles, sending shockwaves that damaged nearby vessels. Humans cheered silently in command centers. They were witnessing history, Earth's first real victory against the masters of the galaxy. Yet the battle was far from over. Zyler still commanded hundreds of ships, and his strategy was ruthless. He was adapting too, realizing that brute force alone would not win. But humanity's ingenuity, combined with the Leviathan's immense power, had shown that even the most advanced alien civilization could be challenged by cleverness, courage, and collaboration. The Leviathan paused for a moment, surveying the battlefield. Its massive eyes reflected intelligence and strategy. Humans sent guiding pulses, leading it toward the next wave of attackers. Tentacles coiled and struck with precision, obliterating enemy vessels. The oceans were alive with fire, water, and fury. "History will remember this," Dr. Carter whispered, watching the Leviathan's attacks. "Humans were underestimated, but we fought back. We used our minds, our courage, and our unity. And Earth is still standing." Commander Zyler, from the flagship, stared at the wreckage of the first wave. His lips tightened in anger and disbelief. "They are clever, yes," he admitted quietly. "But they will not win. Not yet." The humans had proven that strategy and intelligence could match power and technology. The Leviathan had proven that Earth was not defenseless. Together, they were a force that even the masters of the galaxy could not easily ignore. As night fell, the battle paused temporarily. The Leviathan returned to deeper waters, resting but vigilant. Humans regrouped, repairing damaged vessels and recalibrating devices. The Elorians withdrew slightly, assessing the unexpected resistance. One thing was certain: Earth had survived the first phase not by might alone, but by human ingenuity, thinking, adapting, and working with a force they barely understood. The galaxy would soon learn that intelligence, courage, and cleverness could challenge even the most powerful conquerors. And the war was far from over. Dr. Elena Carter and her team were already at work. "They've regrouped," she said, pointing at the screens. "The aliens are planning a coordinated strike. But this time we know their patterns. We can anticipate them." Her assistant Mark nodded. "The Leviathan responded perfectly last night. If we continue guiding it, we can turn the tide of the battle entirely." Across the Pacific, the Leviathan moved with a purpose. Tentacles slicing through water, it maneuvered with an intelligence and precision that no alien weapon had anticipated. Using human guidance signals, it struck at weak points in the Elorian formations, forcing their massive ships into collisions or trapping them in whirlpools. The oceans had become a battlefield, alive with strategy and fury. Commander Xyler, aboard the Eclipse of Stars, watched the reports with growing unease. "They are adapting faster than expected," he muttered. "This planet, these humans, they are not what we anticipated." He issued orders for the armada to change formation. Heavy cruisers moved to cut off the Leviathan's path. Drones swarmed the oceans, scanning for human signals and attempting to disrupt the Leviathan's guidance. Energy beams from orbit scorched the waters, attempting to force the Guardian into retreat. But the humans had learned. Using a combination of sonar pulses, electromagnetic signals, and tactical coordination, they guided the Leviathan to counter every move. Tentacles smashed through cruisers before they could execute Xyler's orders. Drones were caught in underwater whirlpools, shredded against reefs, or trapped by massive energy pulses. Every strike from the humans amplified the Leviathan's power. On land, humanity rallied. Coastal defenses fired in tandem with the Leviathan's strikes, hitting alien ships with missiles and torpedoes where they were most vulnerable. Fighter jets dodged enemy fire while guiding drones into traps. For the first time, humans felt that they were not helpless observers, they were active participants in the battle. The first major victory came when a fleet of Elorian warships, the most advanced in the armada, was lured into a deep ocean trench. Guided by human signals, the Leviathan struck from beneath, smashing their hulls and crushing them under immense water pressure. Explosions echoed across the Pacific, and the remaining ships faltered, their formation broken. Dr. Carter watched with tense excitement. "It's working. They're disorganized. We're gaining the upper hand." Xyler's voice was cold but tense. "Impossible. They should have been destroyed by now. Escalate, deploy the Warbringers. Destroy the creature and crush the humans." But even as reinforcements approached, the humans and Leviathan adapted. The creature moved with speed and precision, striking the Warbringers before they could form an effective perimeter. Humans coordinated strikes from land, sea, and air, hitting critical systems and creating openings for the Leviathan. For the first time, the invaders realized that brute strength alone would not conquer this world. The Leviathan's strategy became more aggressive. Tentacles lashed across the water, crushing alien vessels while guiding waves and currents to destabilize the remaining fleet. Humans fired in coordination, using the alien ship's own energy fields against them. The oceans themselves had become a weapon, a force no alien technology could contain. In orbit, Xyler's confidence was faltering. "They are clever, adaptable, relentless," he muttered. Perhaps the legends were true. This planet is more dangerous than it appeared. On Earth, Dr. Carter addressed her team. "Keep guiding it. Every move matters. This is our chance to protect our planet, our people. The Leviathan is our ally, but we are the brains behind the strikes." The turning point came when the Leviathan led a coordinated attack on the Elorian flagship. Guided by human signals, it avoided the energy beams, using massive whirlpools to drag smaller ships into collisions, while crushing the flagship with sheer force. Explosions erupted across the hull, debris scattered into space, and the armada's command structure was thrown into chaos. Humans watched on screens in disbelief. Fighter pilots cheered, naval officers shouted in triumph, and Dr. Carter smiled, realizing that humanity had truly begun to fight back. "We've done it," she whispered. "The tide has turned." Even the Leviathan seemed to sense the change. Its massive eyes glowed brighter, tentacles lashing with renewed vigor, as if it knew the battle could now be won. Its movements were more confident, more precise, crushing the remaining enemy ships and forcing the armada into retreat. Xyler clenched his fists. They should not have survived this long. But now, they will pay. He was wrong. Humanity had grown stronger through strategy, adaptability, and courage. The Leviathan, guided by human ingenuity, had proven that intelligence could challenge raw power. The Elorian fleet, once confident in victory, now faced defeat for the first time in its long history of conquest. By nightfall, the remnants of the armada retreated into the darkness of space, battered and humiliated. Waves still roared across the Pacific and the Leviathan returned to the deep, but Earth had survived. Humans had learned that they were not helpless. Even the masters of the galaxy could be challenged by courage, cleverness, and unity. Dr. Carter stood on the shoreline, watching the setting sun reflect on the waves. "We did it," she said softly. "Earth has survived. For now." The Leviathan, hidden beneath the waves, remained vigilant. It had defended the planet once, and it would do so again if needed. Humanity had proven itself not just to the invaders but to itself. They had fought, adapted, and survived against impossible odds. And though the Elorians would return, beaten but not defeated, Earth had shown that it could fight back. Intelligence, strategy, and unity had turned the tide of battle. The galaxy had witnessed that even the mightiest could fall when underestimated. The war was far from over, but for the first time humans could stand tall. The Leviathan was their guardian, and humanity had become a force that even the masters of the stars could not ignore. The tide had turned. The battle for Earth's survival had begun, and hope now burned brighter than ever. Dr. Elena Carter stood on a cliff overlooking the Pacific, the waves crashing below. "It's over, for now," she said, her voice a mixture of relief and awe. "We survived. And not just because of our weapons but because we thought, we adapted, and we worked with the Leviathan." The Leviathan, ancient and colossal, returned to the deep, its massive body disappearing beneath the waves. Its eyes glowed faintly one last time as if acknowledging the humans who had guided it, then vanished into the abyss. It was a silent protector, a guardian of Earth who had only revealed its true power when the planet faced its greatest threat. Across the world, people emerged from shelters, hospitals, and command centers. News broadcasts showed scenes of destruction and triumph, debris-strewn cities and oceans filled with wreckage. But amid the chaos, humanity celebrated its survival. Children pointed to the sky, imagining the massive creature that had defended them, and parents whispered stories of courage, ingenuity, and resilience. Military commanders and scientists worked side by side, repairing damaged vessels, recalibrating instruments, and analyzing alien technology left behind in the wreckage. They had seen what humans could accomplish when they combined intellect, bravery, and strategy. The battle had changed them, and the lessons would not be forgotten. Commander Xyler, aboard the retreating Elorian fleet, watched the aftermath through shattered shields and damaged consoles. His expression was unreadable, but inside, a storm of anger and disbelief raged. "They are clever, more clever than we anticipated," he admitted. "This planet, this species, it has potential. Too much potential. We were foolish to underestimate it." He ordered the fleet to regroup and retreat to the outer sectors, nursing their wounded and planning for the inevitable return. The Elorians would come back, Xyler knew, but next time they would be more cautious. Next time they would be prepared. But the humans would also be ready, and that thought unsettled him more than any battle. On Earth, Dr. Carter walked along the coastline with her team, surveying the damage and recording observations. "We've seen something incredible," she said. "A creature from the depths, older than any legend, teaming up with humans. And we survived an alien armada that should have destroyed us." Her assistant Mark nodded. "We've learned that strength isn't only in weapons. It's in our ability to think, to adapt, and to work together. That's what saved Earth." Across the oceans, the Leviathan returned to its hidden lair, deep in the trenches where no human or alien could follow. It had acted as protector, but it had also watched humans grow. It had tested their courage, their intelligence, and their resourcefulness. And in doing so, it had forged an unspoken bond with the planet's people. As months passed, humanity rebuilt. Cities were repaired, fleets reconstructed, and defenses strengthened. Scientists studied the alien technology left behind, learning new ways to enhance communication, energy generation, and defense. Humans had gained knowledge, experience, and confidence. They were no longer a fragile species in a vast, uncaring galaxy. They were survivors, innovators, and strategists. Legends grew. Stories of the Leviathan spread across cultures, mixing fact and myth. Children drew pictures of the massive creature, parents told tales of bravery, and songs were composed to honor the planet's saviors. Humanity had learned the value of courage, intelligence, and unity, and the galaxy would someday remember that even the smallest planet could challenge the greatest conquerors. Yet even in celebration there was awareness of the future. Satellites picked up remnants of the Elorian fleet retreating into deep space. Xyler's voice echoed in encrypted transmissions, a warning, a promise. The Elorians would return, stronger and wiser. Humanity had won the battle, but the war was not over. Dr. Carter gazed at the stars one night, the vastness of space shimmering above. "We survived," she whispered. "But there will be more threats. More challenges. And next time we must be ready. The Leviathan may not always be enough. But now we know, we are stronger than we realized." Across the oceans, the Leviathan remained, hidden in the deep, watching, waiting, a silent guardian for a world that had proven it could rise to the occasion. Its presence was a reminder of the power that lay beneath the surface, both in nature and in humanity itself. Commander Xyler, plotting his return in distant space, knew one thing: Earth had changed the rules. No longer would humans be dismissed as weak, insignificant creatures. They had cleverness, courage, and allies the galaxy had never seen. And that knowledge would haunt the Elorians every step of the way. On Earth, life returned to a fragile normal. Children played on beaches, unaware of the cosmic battles fought above and beneath them. Sailors returned to calm seas and cities slowly healed. Humans had survived the impossible, learned the value of cooperation, and discovered the strength hidden within their species. And somewhere deep in the ocean, the Leviathan slept, a guardian watching over a planet that had proven its worth. It had tested humanity and found them capable, clever, and resilient. And though the galaxy was vast and full of dangers yet unseen, Earth had a chance. A fighting chance. The stars above twinkled, serene and eternal, but Earth had shown that even against overwhelming power, hope, courage, and ingenuity could prevail. Humans had risen to the challenge. The Leviathan had awakened. And the galaxy would never underestimate the blue planet again. The battle was over. The victory belonged to Earth. But the legacy, the knowledge that even the smallest planet could defy the masters of the galaxy, would endure forever.